All right. Thank you, Jesse. Yes, the Bruins were chosen as the favorite in the Pac-12 by a narrow margin over Arizona State. If everyone remembers, UCLA and USC played that epic game in the last regular season game, won by a Jonah Matthews buzzer beater at the Galen Center. But look, at that point, UCLA was ascending and certainly was one of the hottest teams in the country. The momentum, despite a pandemic, seems to be continuing because a player like this, Chris Smith, is back with the Bruins. He could have gone anywhere, didn't have to come back. Why did you?
I felt it was the best decision for me. And I'm just super duper excited to finish out, my college career here, hopefully with a winning season.
Look, I didn't mean to bring up that shot, but I have to. That's the last memory. But you guys were going in the right direction before that. And it took some time, which is understandable with Mick Cronin's crew. And you've bought in defensively. And so now there's that identity. What are the chances that the team's momentum will continue off of what occurred at the Galen Center, or really toward the end of last season?
I say it's a great chance. All the guys that play major minutes are back. Not only are we here, for another season, but we're here to help, all of our newcomers and Johnny Juzang and, Jalen coming in, being a freshman, just getting those guys rolling. So hopefully the momentum will keep going because we still pretty much have the same guys from last season. There won't be the preseason hiccups like we had, last season, just getting to know Coach Cronin. Everybody knows what we've got to do. Everyone knows, what has to happen. So hopefully as soon as we get the new guys rolling, we'll have that momentum back.
And how are you a better player?
I've still got plenty growth. I still got plenty room to grow. Still got a bunch of things I've got to work on. I'm just trying to focus on, stepping into the leadership role, being the lone senior on the team and, flourishing in that role as much as I can. I try to be, I'd say like the fifth coach on the court. But yeah, me as a player, I still got plenty of room to grow. I'm learning with my teammates, with my coaches, but I'm just trying to be a leader on the court right now.
All right. So, Chris, Stanford had to use the tennis courts outside. So did USC. What did you guys do when you were first allowed to congregate, at least outside?
We were never outside, thank God. We just had, we had smaller groups in the first workout. So it was only like 4 people in the gym. Like 4 guys from the team in the gym, and then we had a couple coaches in there at once. So right now we're back to like contact and everybody's in the gym, 5-on-5 type things. But when we first got in, that was not the case. It was small numbers, just with a couple coaches, and then we rotated groups.
All right. I've asked this of some of your peers in the league. Daily testing is monumental. Pac-12, Big Ten have it. What is your day like in terms of waking up and ensuring you show up for that test and that everyone, when you get to practice, has to obviously be negative or they can't be on the floor? What's that day like?
Well, for me, I know I wake up 7 a.m. every morning so I can get some breakfast in before I have to leave because I've got to be at the facility by 8 a.m. You try to get there by 7:55 so you can check in and be in Mo Austin by 8 a.m. We start stretching with Wes by 8:30, so everybody's got to get their tests in ideally before 8:15 in the morning so Shane can go and get them, tested so we all get the negatives back, hopefully. And that's been the case so far. After that, 8:30, it's stretch with Wes, and then we stretch until 9 o'clock, go upstairs, we lift. Then we come back downstairs, and practice will start around 9:30, 9:45. And then it's pretty much until Coach wants to let us go. No, I'm just kidding. But we got like 2.5 hours with Coach Cronin. And then after that, I know myself, I have class every day except for Wednesday and Friday. And then so I should be done around like 4:45, 5 o'clock every day. And then it's pretty much homework, staying at the crib and just trying to be as safe as possible so we can keep playing.
So it's Groundhog Day every day. And the last thing, I'm just curious, during that time period, when you take the test, you're stretching and you're waiting for the all clear.
Yeah.
How anxiety ridden is that?
I'd say like the first week there was some anxiety, but now I know where all my teammates are. I know what they're doing after practice. So I know, if somebody's probably going to get a positive or anything, but we haven't had that problem yet. All the guys are putting basketball first. We have class. That's the number one thing. But after that is putting our team first. And, all the guys have done that so far. So we don't have much anxiety here.
All right. Appreciate it, Chris. Turn it over to you, Jesse.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, Andy, and welcome, Chris. And we'll go to media Q&A now. As a reminder, if any media have questions, please use the raise hand function to move into the queue. And our first question will come from Ben Bolch of the LA Times.
Big Ben.
Hey, Chris.
What up, big?
You guys are getting some pats on the back. Your first team, all Pac-12. You guys are picked to win the conference. How do you guys kind of compartmentalize that and go into a season with the same kind of edge and scrappy mindset that you had last year?
As far as our rankings and whatnot, we're not really worried about any of that. Whether we're ranked first or ranked dead last, we're going to come into the season with the same mindset. We know what wins games because last year we went on a little win streak, and not only did we go on that win streak, we went on a loss streak before that. So we know what loses games and we know what wins games. So, whether I'm picked first team All-American or first team Pac-12, whatever it is, or whether we're picked to win the league or not, we're going to come into the season with the same mindset.
Then one follow-up, if I could. You guys actually, as well played at the end of last year, you lost that last game. Did that stick with you? Did you think about that? Or is that still driving you?
Every game, win or loss, you got to switch your mindset to the game afterwards. It's always the next game. Just like in the game, it's always the next play. Obviously, that loss hurt, for me, especially because I had to watch the shot, whereas I couldn't defend it because I was fouled out. But obviously, we went into that gym, we wanted to win. Unfortunately, that wasn't the outcome. But after you're angry for a little while and you go back and you watch the film, but after a little while, it's always we're looking towards the next game. That sat with us for a little bit because we couldn't even play a next game. But now we're looking to win, the biggest game on our schedule this year and beat the best team on our schedule, and that game's behind us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, we will go to Tracy Pearson of the Bruin Report.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. So with a basketball team, one positive COVID and then some contact tracing could maybe wipe out the entire team.
Yeah.
Are you guys policing each other? I mean, are you really monitoring each other and, lecturing each other just to, respect the quarantine?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I told Andy earlier, our guys, we've got our priorities straight. We know we've got to get our grades right. And after that, we got to put the team first. Nobody on the team wants to be that guy, to put it that simple. Nobody wants to be that guy who comes in, gets a positive, and now we know that guy wasn't taking it seriously. I do my best to make sure that my teammates are, staying safe and making sure that they're not exposing themselves. But this quarantine and this pandemic has honestly just helped us a lot because now we can't really, hang out with other people. So, it's let us grow closer together. So it's not necessarily monitoring, but, we're just making sure we're only hanging out with each other and we're not exposing us to anything. And that's been working so far. So hopefully, it continues to work.
Are you in an off-campus housing? Are you one room to yourself? I know they did that with the football players too. And are you close to your teammates where you're living?
Yeah. Pretty much all of us are off campus, like 5 minutes away, just walking distance. I'm the farthest from campus, but it's not that far. But yeah, I'm off campus and I don't live with any of my teammates. I just live with my brother. And he doesn't go anywhere. I don't either. So if I'm going anywhere, it's to Midvale to hang out with my teammates and then it's right back home.
Got it. Hey, going into last season, it seems like you guys were a little tight shooting from the outside. Maybe you were looking at that Cronin hook. Maybe you think the team is a little bit more comfortable shooting the ball heading into this season?
I mean, just like anything, it's always a process. Just got to get in the gym, get a better feel for it. We got guys like, Jalen, coming in as a freshman, and his 3-point line is now 3 steps behind his high school line. So someone like that's just got to get a good feel for it. I mean, a team like us, we don't really care much about missing shots because, usually when we miss them, we're crashing and we'll get it back. So our 3-point percentage wasn't really on our mind last year, but we've got a lot of shooters this year with Johnny Juzang coming in. Other guys like Jake is obviously lights out. Tiger's been working on his shot. Jaime has as well. Myself too. So we've got a good feeling, when it comes to 3-point shooting coming into the season, but that's not by any means one of our worries.
I know he keeps the stats, Coach Cronin. Who have consistently shot best from 3 over the course of practice now?
It's a good question. We got a lot of shooters, man. I'd say the one that really sticks out to me is Johnny Juzang. I feel like he transferred and he came, on a mission. That guy's a hard worker, and I love everything about him. And he's been shooting really, really, really well. I never thought I'd say it, but somebody's competing with Jake right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next question, we will go to Mike Regalado of the Bruin Report.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Doing well, Mike. How are you?
Good, thank you. You returned the majority of the roster from last season. Pretty much almost the same team. How much different is it right now than it was a year ago? Obviously, last year you had to implement, Coach Cronin had to implement, offense, defense, roles, and stuff like that. But now, how much easier is it to blend together, to work? And are you guys trying to implement even more of Coach Cronin's schemes?
I'd say it's a lot easier now. Obviously, Coach Cronin's not new anymore. He's already implemented his culture, and everybody here already has a good feel for him. So, I mean, I don't think he can implement himself anymore. He's already made his stamp. We know, how serious it is to him, how big of a deal winning is for him. So, I mean, it's just pretty much just getting the new guys, giving them a good feel of Coach Cronin. I mean, he does a great job himself, obviously. But, somebody like me who was playing last year and he was on a lot, I try to, give some of my wisdom to the newer players so that, the transition is easier for them than it was for us last year. But yeah, definitely comparing where we're at right now to where we were last season at this time, I'd say it's leaps and bounds better for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one final question. We'll go to JB Long of Pac-12 Networks. And we lost JB. Let's go to Dennis Freeman, News for Us. Last question.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing great. You mentioned about you have a lot of things to improve on. Could you share with us specifically what is that you think that you could work on or want to work on?
Oh, I mean, that list is super long. But mainly, like I said, the number one thing that I'm trying to do well this year is be a leader. I've never been like the vocal guy on the team, but that's something that, our coaches and teammates are looking to me to do. So that's something that I need to work on, and I've been doing so far. Secondly, would be my decision making. My assisted turnover was really, really bad. Pretty much every year I've been here, it's been negative. So that's something that I've got to get into the positive. My ball handling, a lot of my turnovers were created off of, my careless ball handling last year. So that's something that I've been working on a lot. Tightening up my shot, so I, not missing any more open shots. But yeah, it's a lot of things. But I say the biggest ones would be my leadership and my decision making, and just being tough at all times. Coach Cronin always says toughness is someone who makes the right play, no matter how tired they are, no matter what the situation is. And I need to be that player on this team, that can make the right play at all times. So I'd say my decision making and my leadership are the two big ones, and that's like an umbrella for a lot of other things. But yeah, the list is super duper long, but those are the two big ones.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you check them off the list this year, Chris. Thanks for the time.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
And we'll bring back Andy Katz now as we transition over to UCLA head coach Mick Cronin.
All right. Well, appreciate it, Jesse, and thank you to Chris. Very similar to McKinley Wright, the way in which he was breaking his game down and wanting to make sure that there's a long list, as he said, as well as he has played, that things that he needs to work on. But it's also interesting that UCLA, unlike USC and Stanford, did not have to go outside, that they were able to sort of wait to work in small groups and get into the Mo Austin Center without having to go through that phase of dealing with the heat, as Andy Enfield was talking about 95-degree heat in LA on the tennis court. So as Mick Cronin gets situated there, we pause just momentarily as he gets set to join us here on our Pac-12 Media Day. Of course, I'm sure you all have the schedule. After UCLA, we'll be joined by Matt Bradley and Mark Fox from Cal, Ethan Thompson and Wayne Tinkle from Oregon State, and we'll finish off with Amir Wright and Mike Hopkins from Washington. Washington just announcing its non-conference schedule this afternoon. A game actually against Colorado in Las Vegas as a non-conference game was part of that release that just went out. And UCLA released its non-conference schedule. I believe it was earlier this week. That includes with beginning an MTE down in San Diego, where they will play San Diego State, one of the best teams consistently out of the Mountain West Conference. So the Bruins, like many other schools, had to reshape their schedule on the fly and just to get, quality games in before the Pac-12 begins. As we get Mick hopefully situated here just in a moment.
Should be joining us shortly.
Okay. As we get him hooked up there in LA. Not quite sure if they're in the same location as they get ready for practice. Which, if I'm not mistaken, Chris was saying was usually around this time or shortly before. So anyway, UCLA picked to win the Pac-12 narrowly over Arizona State, as it is in the same location. Mick getting ready to sit down.
Andrew.
Red carpet there as we get him situated. Always welcome to join us here.
What's up, buddy?
All right, a couple things, Mick. Very similar to when McKinley Wright was on and Tad Boyle. I don't know if you heard Chris Smith break down his game of what he needs.
I did not hear anything, but
all right. Well, he rattled off a laundry list. It was not, there was no ego there. He says he's got quite a bit to work on and knew it. He's not someone that said, I've got it all figured out. So let's just take that point right there about how coachable he's become and how much he's learned about himself in trying to become a better player.
Well, I would say, all of us as coaches would say he's unlocked the key. He's unlocked the sacred key to success is he has great attitude. So he's coachable. So since I've been here, he's been unbelievably coachable, which is why his rate of improvement was so accelerated. I think that it's a problem for some guys. They fight coaching. So therefore they can't get better, or it definitely slows their development. Chris's was accelerated in the 2 years he's been with me, a year and a half now, because from day one, he's just had a tremendous attitude. So his rate of improvement has been very, very impressive, to say the least. And you see, he also would have, as long as you're at UCLA, the thing that Coach Wooden would always talk about, he's humble. but he's a humble kid. So he's a bright guy, great parents. And when they talked about Chris coming back to school, obviously the prospects for our season got a lot better. But just selfishly, when you get the chance to coach good guys, man, it makes our job a lot more pleasant, makes it more fun. You enjoy going to work a lot more when you're around a guy he's a great guy. He's got a great sense of humor. So you get a chance to spend another season with such a good kid who happens to be a great player.
You don't have to worry about the point. You've got a returnee in Tiger Campbell amidst a pandemic and so many unknowns. How much comfort does that bring you knowing you've got your lead playmaker back?
Yeah, I learned a long time ago back in the 90s with a full head of hair and Coach Huggins was skinny. We were quite a pair. That returning guards had a lot to do with your prospects for success on a particular season. And we used to think about that because, it's hard back in the 90s. We had great JUCO players. They weren't around. Obviously, 2 years was their max. And, you think you have a guy like Steve Logan for 4 years or Kenny Satterfield and Steve Logan. You're going to have you got to have a chance to win a lot of games when you have returning guards. So, Andy, I can't tell you the last time UCLA's had a returning starting point guard. It's been 4, 5, 6 years maybe since that has happened. Guys off to the NBA after their 1 year of starting at the point. You can just keep backtracking it. From Aaron Holiday didn't start. He started, he was gone. Jalen Hand started, he was gone. Obviously, Lonzo Ball started, he was gone. It's very, very hard to have success when you have a new point guard every year. So definitely a blankie, so to speak, little security blankie for the head coach.
One last thing, I'll turn it over to Jesse. Mick, the schedule. You guys just put it out a couple of days ago. You really had to change things on the fly, and you picked up, obviously, with San Diego State, Pepperdine down in San Diego, two teams that, have a great chance to be in the tournament again. How difficult was it to put this all together?
Not really that hard, to be honest with you. When we saw Orlando falling apart, I thought about going with Kansas. We have issues with playing in the state of Kansas, being a UC system school. Then it's just, common sense. Brian Dutcher and I have been friends a long, long time. Our dads are high school coaches. Back when, he was at Michigan, I was at Woodward High School. So that's how long we've known each other. And it wasn't that hard. We got together and said, look, we're not going to worry about who. I just told him, look, it's going to be easier to play the games there. We're in LA County. Things are a little stickier here. Let's just probably go with that. Let's get the best. I prefer to try to get me the best 2 games we can get. Trying to build a resume and anticipating you might lose some good games. So just try to stack it up like my man Mike Bray did at Notre Dame. And we're not as crazy as him, but Pepperdine's got everybody back pretty much. Great player. Obviously, San Diego State with Dutch, and it has continued there from Coach Fish. They have an unbelievable program. So just trying to, happy we filled our schedule, but we'll be a lot happier, right, all of us, if we actually play the entire schedule. So then, that's obviously the goal. But just trying to start off, and I think your best chance is to get as many good games in as you can. So that was our thinking.
Appreciate it, Mick. Turn it over to you, Jesse.
All right, buddy.
All right, thanks, Andy. And we'll go right into media Q&A. We'll try to be as efficient as possible here. So Ben Bulch, LA Times, first questions.
Mick, I know we've talked at length about your thoughts about preseason polls, but you guys are getting some pats on the back here, picked to win the Pac-12. How do you know these guys as well as anybody? Do you have any concerns that they'll be able to keep their edge, being picked to win the league? And then another thing, can you comment on the 2 guys who signed today?
Sure. I don't mean to disrespect the people that vote, but it just, it really doesn't, that stuff doesn't matter. And it gives you reference points, to vote me coach of the year last year because we were picked 8th and we finished 2nd. You equate it that way, I guess. I mean, it's, you got to have publicity, right? So it's, we appreciate all the coverage and we appreciate you guys doing it, but it doesn't mean you're right. So it just doesn't matter. It makes my job harder because it kind of takes the hunger away a little bit from some guys. Maybe they're not mature enough to understand that all it does is help your opponents, because their coaches early in the season can say, well, you better be ready to play. They're picked to win their league. Like, we do it as well, right? For our early season, better be ready to play. San Diego State's 30-2 last year. So you use everything you can. So it makes your job a little bit harder, but hey, man, that's what you're paid to do. So it's my job to make sure that we continue to worry about things that matter, which is becoming a team that can win a game because we can get a defensive stop, we take good shots, and we rebound, take care of the ball. So as far as recruiting, obviously we couldn't be more excited about Peyton and Will. Peyton's a top-rated player in California. Very few times you recruit a guy that can do everything on the floor. I mean, Peyton Watson can guard you. He can block your shot because of his length. Reminds me, a long time ago, back in my full head of hair days, I came out to see Trevor Ariza when he was young, and I was with Coach Pitino. Did a great job of recruiting him. He went to UCLA, but he reminds me of Trevor in that he can do everything. He can score, he can rebound, he can defend, block shots, he can assist, he can get fouled. I've seen him play a high school game. He did everything but take tickets and sell popcorn. So, and he's a great family, great kid. So we're very, very excited that he's joining us. And Will McClendon comes from a place, where Grant Rice and Bishop Gorman's won 9 straight state championships. So Will's got 3 state championships under his belt. His reputation for hitting big shots and being a winner precedes him in the basketball circles. He's the kind of player that I believe in because he's such a winner, and he can shoot the ball. I think that's extremely important. You look at our roster and what we're trying to do, you got to make sure you got guys can make shots. But both of these guys, Will and Peyton, both have unbelievable wingspans. Will's 6'4" with a 6'8" wingspan. Peyton's is crazy for a 6'7" or 8 guy. I mean, every time I only see him on Zoom now, but he looks like the Elastic Man with his arms. So very excited about what those guys are going to be able to bring to the table for us next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll go to one final question from Mike Regalado of the Bruin Report.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike.
You just said that sometimes the preseason polls and everything they just don't they don't account for anything right now. But do you ever look at them and say, well, why didn't Jalen Hill get nominated? Why didn't David Singleton? It's good that Tiger and Chris got some attention, but do you ever kind of find yourself being a fan of the other players and saying, they should get some recognition?
Nah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm a fan. First of all, I'm a fan of all of our players. And I tell them all the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's just, it doesn't matter. You can't bring I tell Peyton Watson, he's ranked top 10, and Will McClendon's ranked top 40. You can't bring your rivals ranking, your 247 ranking, whatever ranking. It doesn't matter when you get to college. It doesn't. You're going to have to, what matters is what you do between the lines. If all that stuff mattered, John Morant wouldn't have went to Murray State. He went second in the draft. So you got to be able to get the job done on the floor. So it's just at the end of the day, I'm really big on in my program and just my thought process with young people, especially today. You have got to train them to worry about things that matter. Social media does not matter. That's just, where whoever's ranked and honorable mention, or it just doesn't matter. Because I guarantee every one of them would trade it for a national championship, and they'd trade it to be a first-round pick. Nothing against preseason Pac-12 media polls, but you see, it's just, what are they going to get for it? I mean, I promise you, the NBA scouts don't care about it. They just don't. It has no bearing on what their thinking is when they're putting their draft board together. So I'd really try to. It's just really another way for me to explain to guys. It's here's the challenge. It doesn't matter if you are on the. By the way, it doesn't matter that Chris is first team. Like, no, that's not going to wake up Neil O'Shea in Portland and say, boy, I better really scout Chris Smith. He's ranked first team he's already got people doing that. There's a reason he's got the job, and he makes way more than I make.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Coach Cronin, appreciate your time. Best of luck this season.
All right, Jesse. Thanks, guys. Good to see everybody on Zoom.